everyone. Thank you all for coming. I'm so glad to be here. It's been like a week. It feels like such a long time that I've been kind of away from hosting and all that stuff. So thank you all for coming. I know it's a wild time. You know, you start to get these like announcements. It used to be, oh, the quarantine will be over on June 1st. Then it's the quarantine will be over. Now it's like the last one was, there's no end date. But I hope we're all doing well, and we're very happy to be doing everything here we are doing at MarshStream. So thank you, producing manager Brian Williamson, for announcing this show tonight and for doing such a wonderful job with everything. And we also have Brianna Cover, who is producing with us. So a great big hand to all the people helping out, making this MarshStream work every night at 7:30. And tonight we have the wonderful guest, Maureen Langan. Now, Maureen, look at Maureen. She's waving to us. She is like so wonderful and funny and performing at the Marsh. So Brian, you're like the big picture right now. Is that right?
Yeah, hold on. Maureen, can you hear us? Maureen, you're good?
Hello.
Okay.
There she is.
Just wanted to make sure she could hear us, Stephanie. All right. See you guys later.
So Maureen, I could do a bio, but I want you to tell us your bio. Tell us who is Maureen Langan?
So I create a bio, and now I have to tell you. I'm a Jersey gal. My parents immigrant from Ireland. Father, a garbage man from the South Bronx, and I was a journalist for many years, working public television in Bloomberg, and then I became a stand-up comic and a talk show host, and then I did a one-person show at the Marsh with David Ford. So I travel, well, let's pretend there's no virus. I travel around the country and the world performing stand-up. And for 7 years, I was doing a talk show in KGO in San Francisco until recently. Now they do the vitamin to Vegemin commercials on the weekends, you know, like Lucy. And so that's the professional world. And if you want to know the personal world, I could tell you that too.
Okay, tell us the personal world.
I need better lighting like you. So I grew up one of 6 children in Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey, where there's no lake. There's no insane. And yeah, so, you know, I mean, we can get more into the stuff which is reflected in the show if you want. But grew up 30 miles outside of Manhattan. I was born in the Bronx. We moved to Queens and then out to Jersey. And my father's always said, I don't know what I'm doing in this godforsaken state. For the love of God, why did I ever come here? So he's a city guy, and went to college there and then moved into Manhattan and slugged it out. And that's what I did. Now here we are.
Wow. So, and you're a little bi-coastal. Which coast are you on right now?
Well, I'm in California now because my boyfriend Tony lives in Marin, and I was in New York, where that's where I'm from. So we do the bi-coastal thing. But the virus was just starting to hit. I had months of work on the East Coast, and my friend, who's an emergency room nurse in San Francisco, told me, get the hell out of New York. Just go, because it's going to be like Italy in 2 weeks. And it was. She was right. So here I am. I'm glad to be here because there's so much open space that you can actually go out for a walk or a hike and not run into anybody. So that's pretty cool. Because in Manhattan, I was I'm on the Upper West Side. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's room to go places like Riverside Park and North and Central Park, but still, you know, you go into a supermarket or anywhere, people are on top of each other.
So, Maureen, how are you keeping yourself busy during the quarantine?
This is what's insane. Like, I'm so busy, but I'm a little bit of a nut job because I create work all the time. Because when you're creative, you know this yourself, you're always creating something from nothing. So I had a corporate gig, one of the few things that didn't get canceled because, you know, in addition to performing, you know, I was a broadcaster for years and a corporate MC and host and all those different things. So I created a Monday through Friday talk show on Facebook Live called Hanging with Langan. And I do that Monday through Friday. And I go one-on-one with a lot of comics, historians, sommeliers, but mostly a lot of performers like you're doing that I know from working 20 plus years in stand-up. And we've had, um, really great people, Laurie Kilmartin, who's from the Bay Area, Jessica Kirsten, Bobby Collins. And then I had the great granddaughter of Elizabeth Cady Stanton, the original suffragette on. So cool things like that. And I do that. And then I host corporate gigs where they have their Zoom meetings with the last one I did was a 4-day event of 200 people on Zoom, and they have guest speakers and musicians, and then their conferences and their breakout groups. So when everything's running awry, I'm keeping it all together. And I'm like, okay, you guys, so we'll be there in a moment. Let me, keep the ball in the air and see it. Yeah, so I'm pretty busy, yeah, which is
So
good.
you are emceeing at these conferences.
Yeah, or like there was a 4-day conference, and so it's I haven't done stand up on in these social media platforms because it just doesn't feel comfortable to me. But yeah, so the 4-day event, so I welcome everybody. It's not my event. It's a conference among masters. So they're life coaches and some are business coaches and very serious in corporate 500 companies or whatever how many companies there are, I don't know. But they'll coach them or like Google. And then you had a Facebook marketer telling them how to market their work. But then you had the woman who was the lead in Phantom of the Opera for over 10 years sing for them. And then so I'll host it, but then I took part of my TED Talk and did that for them one morning. I gave them hell gig stories another morning. So it's fun, heart, and smart. So you'll go to different places with them. But they're very cool people. So, and then when things went nutty, I'm like, all right, what do I, you have to have some stuff in your back pocket to bring out. So.
Do you have anything in your back pocket right now? Do you have a pocket right now?
No pockets, just a gut. It looks like a very pouch. Looks like a pouch. That's what I have.
A kangaroo pouch?
A pouch. Well, what's interesting? Yeah, I got a bit. So this, okay, I'll tell you a hell gig. I offered to do it. I was going to do my first stand-up, Zoom stand-up. And I figured, okay, the guy was offering very, very little money. I said, but you know what, I'll do it because I haven't done the Zoom stand-up, just to kind of feel it out. The stakes aren't high. And I said, wow, you really will? Thank you, thank you. So I said, just promote my new on-store line, my new on-store shop where I sell products, Don't Make Me Hate You products. We could talk about that later. And my website. He said, oh yeah, I can't brand my marketing department. They're strict about promoting other brands. I'm like, there's 15 people in your company, you own it. You are your marketing department, And he said, well, if that's an issue for you, I don't have a problem with you backing out. I'm like, really? In this day and age, you can't win-win? You can't just go, here's your stupid, smelly website, and I go do, a gig for 15 people. So that was that.
Did you back out?
Yeah, I did.
Good going, Maureen. You stood for your ideals.
Well, you know what it was? It was just so, pardon me, I'm going to fix the light better. It was just so disrespectful. It was just more like, I'm going to be angry. And if you're going to do it with resentment, don't do it. I said, well, if you mean that, then listen, hopefully our paths will cross in a better situation where it's okay to go MaureenLangan.com, where that's not an issue. What? Are you kidding? Anyway.
Well,
my friend said, why don't you bring him to your house or Zoom, have him send wine, take the labels off. Don't let him tell anybody what wine it is or where they can get it. That's what he basically did to me. So those are little hell gigs. It's not a big deal. I just thought I'd tell you a little. That's what happened.
Oh, so that I missed the word hell gig. That's a hell gig.
Well, I didn't do it. It would have been those are some of the war stories really in comedy, but it's not a big deal. It's just silliness. So I just tell you, say, what's in your back pocket? That happened this week. These are the little.
And that was this week. It's fresh in your mind.
That's right. I don't want to hate people. They make me hate them. No, I would have done it if, it's not a big deal. It was just like, well, if you want to back out. I'm like, well, I wasn't going, but that's how you're going to be. That's it. That's how the business is. It's all right. There's a lot of great experiences and great people. And you realize that during this virus, how many great people you know. And, when I came back at the end of February, Stephanie, to work out, update my show, Daughter of a Garbage Man, just you realize running into like Don Reed and just seeing people that do their work there and just the team and Alexa, the best tech in the planet. You go, wow, that's a really cool community. So you see it there, you see it in the New York comics, the San Francisco comics. So you realize, wow, you just bump into these people and now know how very valuable bumping into them is.
and it's a different bump. A
Yeah.
different bump than it used to be.
Yeah, it's different for sure. For sure.
So tell me about this website. I'll let you talk about your website.
Forget it, I'm backing out. I don't need this. No, I so funny. I do the talk show Hanging with Langan, and I would love for people to join the Facebook group. It's just facebook.com/groups/Hanging with Langan, or you just go to my website, Maureen Langan, Mo Langan. They all go there because it's a fun talk show and it's smart, and I do it professionally, and it's not, I have guests and it's structured. And today we had a comic on who has a PhD in history. He teaches at a college in Queens, and he's a comedian. So he's so interesting, and he brings up the just crazy fads of the 1920s, and then we go into something deeper about it, like beyond the superficial of the 20s, beyond the flappers, the racism, the nationalism, as well as why people were swallowing goldfish and climbing flagpoles. But I created, this is insane. My friend who made these t-shirts for me that say, "Don't make me hate you." I don't want to hate anybody. It's a joke. It's about, you want to love everyone. So don't make me hate you. Let's start off on a good footing. Let me love you. Make that possible. Don't make me a victim. Don't do something that's going to make me hate you. That's the whole. So he suggested, and he put my logo on all, you can get this online store. So that logo is on everything from onesies on babies. We got the masks. Don't make me hate you masks. So that's, again, that my store is Mo Langan, Maureen Langan, and the store is there. And you can see there's mugs, clocks, shower curtains, and the masks, and all kinds of t-shirts, and people have been digging it. So that's a bit of a living for me, and it's a funny logo. So.
Well, getting back to the funny stuff, you have this quote: "Maureen is to comedy what James Brown is to soul." Let me say it again. Maureen, as in Maureen Langan, is to comedy what James Brown is to soul. And this is from the recently passed Jerry Stiller, right?
That was his soul, yeah. Jerry Stiller. I performed. Do you want to know the story behind that?
I am. That's exactly where I was going.
All right. Well, I just want it's so funny for me to be on the other side of the mic, Stephanie. I'm so used to being the interviewer, right? But you're
Am I doing a good job?
You're doing a great job, and your lighting is better than mine. I just ordered a lighting kit because this is bothering me. What are you using on your end?
Well, actually, I had a ring light, but it doesn't work in this room. So all I'm using is a lamp over there.
I have lamps. It just looks like crap. Well, it's in my one-person show, Daughter of a Garbage Man. I talk about how this leads to Jerry Stiller in the quote, that when I was growing up, my father, Huey, he loved watching Ann Muir and Jerry Stiller and Ed Sullivan. Well, he always said, Ann, she's the one with the talent. He's a Wright, but she's the one with the talent. And so years later, he always loved that she was Irish Catholic because, back in the day, and still a predominant number of comics, the Catskill comics of the 50s, the 60s, predominantly Jewish. So she was one of the only Irish Catholic, I think, comic at the time, right? So he was always like, she's Irish Catholic too. So years later, I get asked to perform. She passed maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So this had to be 8 years ago, to perform for her and Jerry at a gig in Nantucket. And I'm like, yeah, right, this is amazing. So Come to learn that Anne had converted to Judaism, like right after she married Jerry decades ago. So I just laughed because my father's only Irish Catholic comic is Jewish. I mean, he liked that there was just somebody representing, Ireland, whatever, New York. So I was performing for her and Jerry, and I said, "No wonder your son's so successful, Anne, because you raised him Jewish. You think if you were raised in an Irish Catholic family, he'd feel good about himself? We have holidays like Ash Wednesday, where you're told you're dirt. You've always been dirt. You always will be dirt. You're dirt." I said, "You would never put up that. The Jews, you would have personal injury lawyers lining outside the temple." Just teasing, because it was supposed to be a roast. But when you do a roast of people you don't know, you don't punch them in the face. You poke at them a bit and make it loving and fun. So I had a very good set. And afterwards, Jerry said, "You're the comedy. What James Brown is to soul." Yeah. And then Anne's like, "Come have some fucking dinner with us." So I got to have dinner with them.
Were they funny in person, or what were they like?
See, I think that too, there are performers who are always on. They can't stop. That's the most friggin' annoying thing on the planet. It's just draining. No, they weren't on. She's like, "Come on, let's go." I can speak freely on this, yeah?
Please speak freely.
She's like, "Come on, we're gonna get some fucking dinner. Come on, let's go. You're fucking funny. You're a fucking broad." And Jerry's like, Jerry was very, and I heard this a lot. Like, I'm acquainted with his daughter, Amy Stiller. A lot of people who know Jerry from New York and Nantucket say he's really, particularly when he passed, people said he's very connected and he sees you and he looks right at you. And that's who I sat next to at dinner that night. A man who's more interested in you than himself. And you just felt very supported. It was very interesting. There was nobody was on. It was just very down to earth and very real.
Well, they were quite a wonderful team. What a team.
Amazing, right? She had quite a background too. I mean,
What was it?
Oh, you have to read about it. Her mother died young. I think she was, if I remember correctly, I read it a long time ago. She was sent to, I think, a girls' home, the nuns. That's why she was like, "I'm freaking done with this Catholic stuff," I think. Can you blame her?
I wouldn't want to say anything being Jewish and all. You could maybe say something being Irish Catholic.
Well, you know what it is, and I don't mean any offense when I talk about what my father mean, where he's coming from, because that's his truth. That's what I found too, Stephanie, doing, well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say anything.
One of the things I find doing when I've done the show, which has, been received well, Daughter of a Garbage Man, I mean, not comedy, I will portray my father as he was and is, the words he would use. And, like, this is a light example, but when I talk about Anne, when it's like, she's Irish Catholic, not Jewish, like all the other comedians, he's not putting it down. He just has a pride in finding somebody that represents his background. But he always told me growing up, now he'd say to me, "You, out of my 6 kids, you're going to go far because you got moxie. You got the Jew thing like Edie Gourmet." And I'm 10 years old. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" But where he came from in the South Bronx, growing up in New York, a symbol of success were those he knew who were successful and Jewish and doctors. And that's what what he saw as the successful people. Stereotype, not stereotype, that's his truth. But I would say something, one night I was saying that my dad is a blend of Archie Bunker, Fred Sanford, and Marlon Brando, the early years, not the fat years. Right, well, that's what he looked like. He was very handsome when he was young. A woman comes up to me, middle-aged woman, around my age, comes up to me after the show. "I have to discuss something with you." Okay, here we go. You just pour your heart and soul on the stage, right? And this one wants to talk to me, because she has an issue. She goes, "I take issue with you using the word fat. I used to have eating issues." I'm like, "Well, who didn't? Get in line." She's like, "I used to have eating issues, and my therapist says that I need to confront things that upset me." I go, "And you're picking me? You pick me? I didn't meet you to tonight. Like all these years of binging and purging, now all of a sudden it's my fault." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Really? I just talked about growing up in an alcoholic family where my father could be violent, and this is what you're taking away from it? Really?" People are crazy. But I lament now that people, you walk such a line of what you can and can't say. And don't think enrages me to think of people wanting to whitewash, Twain, or take out words that had a mean. Let's talk about what those words meant at that time, or what were the stereotypes at that time, or why do people still talk like that? Why haven't they emerged? I think those are important things to do, and to take some of the things that are my father out of him is not showing who he is. So I'm always troubled by wanting to speak freely and then having to deal with people in the audience. Well, 1950 isn't 2020. It's different. Anyway, that's how I feel about language. I think people should use the real words and let us all feel it and deal with it, and no one will die, and we can actually have conversations. That's how.
Speaking as a new talk host person right now to someone who's been doing it for so many years, I've been hearing all these nasty things about Ellen DeGeneres lately. And, it's like that, what you're talking about, the story, right? Is she rude to people? Is she mean? And is she doing all these wonderful things when you watch her show, where she's giving away these wonderful gifts and donations that she's gathering for people? It's like, how do it's that same kind of thing of where is the story and where is the full story?
Right. And that's it too. You get bits of things. And I see this woman who entertains people, who's generous, who's kind. Can she be fallible? Is she allowed to maybe some days be rude or tired or cranky or just like sit next to somebody you might not like? Yeah, people are going to have reactions to it. But you know what, I interviewed Frank McCourt many years ago, who wrote Angela's Ashes.
And I read that book.
Oh gosh, that's a harsh book. Isn't that hard? And he said to me, I'll tell you two things. He said to me, which always resonated for me, his father was a real piece of work. I mean, his father left the family. They were penniless. They had just the craziness of the alcoholism in the family. And I interviewed him and he said, people are like shamrocks. Most people don't have three, leaves that are all bad. Not every part of them. Some might have two, some might have one. But, all of that makes up the collective clover or shamrock. And I always think about that with people, particularly with my father. You're not all one thing, nor am I or you. So yeah, I like her. I like her. I like Rosie. I'd love to get a chance not to like her. I'd love to hang out with Ellen and decide what I don't like about her. That'd be all right with me. But it's yeah. So that's the deal there.
So is someone saying you can hear me, can't you, Maureen?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Okay. So all right. So you were doing stand-up. You were doing a lot of things, but I'm assuming the stand-up is what brought you to the solo performance. How did that happen? How did you make that transition?
Well, I did monologues in New York, and I wrote emotional and deep and funny monologues. And then actually early in my stand-up, and when I got unmarried and I escaped to California for a while, I thought, with a comedy, it's funny is good. I like being funny, but I'm not on. You see, you don't have to always be on. And I thought, I have these other sides of myself, the journalism, the heart, the, emotions, so that you can't fully bring on stage as a comic. So I thought, I want to do something with the monologues I used to write and the comedy I have now. So I sought out David Ford at the recommendation of like 8,423 people. And he didn't get back to me like right away. So I'm like, oh, I guess he doesn't want to work with me. That's what you think, right? And then, when I reached out a second time, oh, I didn't get that, I guess I went to spam. So I started working with David Ford. And, he's great because he's so non-judgmental. And I'm going to such a deep place for me. And he's like, oh, this is good working on something lighter. I'm like, what? What? You're kidding me. I guess because I didn't have a rape scene. I don't know. So I'm like, oh, because I did say to him, I go, David, some of these stories are very powerful that I've seen at the Marsh. I mean, amazingly brave women putting up really powerful work about vulnerable things like that. And I'm like, I don't have that. I only have this. I have family alcoholism, but I didn't have that. Thank God. We all have our own trajectory. I'm not denigrating that using my dark sense of humor. I don't have a rape. You know what I'm saying? And you get comfortable with the stand-up bits. They're your pillars. And he pushed me gently. Okay, keep writing that. I go, really? Yeah, come back with that. Yeah, go. And the ironic thing is, then I workshopped it for a month in Edinburgh. And it's funny, I'm the one who came back and said, I think I have to add this other layer. That's another piece. He was helping me go deep. And I go, okay, well, if we're going deep, then I got to add this other piece about when I got very ill as a teenager. And I'm like, what am I doing? This guy's rubbing off on me here. But it's easier to write it than to perform it. So I've written about some of these things, but to actually put them on stage and become the characters felt very vulnerable to me because I'm not an actress, So David was just, there's no judgment, only support. And he's so creative. So you can have an idea and then you're playing tennis. You're like, oh, that's a gift. A lot of people don't have that ability. And he'd like hit 2 or 3 or 4 balls back to me. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. Oh, okay. He's very thoughtful.
I mean, it's amazing with, the hundreds of people that he's worked with over the years, how he stays out of it and each person gets their own piece. It's not like he's trying to mush anything together or has
Right.
a pre-notion of what things should be. That's what's just absolutely incredible about David.
He channels something that can connect with you individually, and that's a gift. It's just a gift.
Well, would you like to perform a little excerpt right now?
No, I won't. All right. So, why don't I do a little of the mother? Because I talk about my dad so much, So, the whole thing, just the whole premise of Daughter of a Garbage Man is being raised to work hard, get educated, do the right thing, and life will reward you. And I'm saying that's a load of crap. Like I should have been told to dance with poles while I still had the body to do so, because it's these reality stars. All right. So I'll just do a little bit of my dad, just a little bit, and then my mom. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right, so my dad, my dad with the glasses. Maureen Langan, retired New York City sanitation worker. All right, here we go. Now, I'm talking to the audience, okay. I pick up their trash all year long. You think at Christmas time, they come out and give me a hello, give you you never call it money on the job. Jesus, that'll get you in hot water. What do I do? Tell you what I do. Right up to the door. Hey, Mac, want to open up? Who is it? Who is it? It's Huey, the magician. The guy who makes your garbage disappear? I got 6 kids. The presents, they ain't buying themselves. So that's just the opening of his bit. And then I'll take you to a scene when he's in church on Sunday. The basket is being passed around for the offering. And my father goes down the row in the pew and puts a penny in each of the 6 kids' palm of our hands and folds over our fingers. Hurry up, put it in the basket. But Dad, I'm embarrassed. It's only a penny. Put it in the basket. They'll be damn glad to get it, and they better hope it ain't going to Africa. Well, ever tell you my story about pennies in Africa, huh? Well, I'm going to tell you again. When I was a kid at St. Jerome's in the South Bronx, the nuns made us save our pennies, bring them into school so they could send them to starving people in Africa. That was over 30 years ago. The people are still starving. Come on, use your head. Someone is stealing the pennies. So then we're at a wedding at a Presbyterian church. Wouldn't put a dime in that basket, tell you that much. Rather give the pennies to Africa. You know why? Come on, got to know your history. The Presbyterians, they killed the Irish and they took our land. Like, yeah, but Dad, we live in New Jersey. So he's a character. He's also an alcoholic whose father is in Crimea River. I used to go to Al-Anon, but that sucked because nobody ever wanted to go out for a glass of wine afterwards. So this is the lighter stuff to set who he is. My mother had seen a picture of Kim Kardashian, the naked ass picture. Jesus, Mary and Joseph, have you seen the size of the ass on that girl? Oh, she looks like the back end of a horse. I swear to God, you could ski down that thing. Now, what would you call that if you were riding home? Oh, you'd call that success, mother. That's what you call success. Now, home to my mother is County Cavan, Ireland, where she was born the seventh of 10 children on a farm without running water or electricity. She was baptized Annie Smith, but legally changed her name to Anne when she came to America. I thought it sounded more grown up. Now, some in her family call her Nancy, others call her Dolly, because that's what Irish people do. They give you one name, but then they call you by another. My Aunt Lily is Elizabeth, Rita is Margaret, and Patricia's Bridget. Good luck figuring it out. Now, my mother was born December 2nd, 1936. She was really born November 23rd of that year. Back then, you had 90 days to register a newborn, otherwise you'd get fined. Well, her father wasn't about to take a day off from the 7 miles into town to register baby number 7. Common sense told him you wait till the butchering of a pig takes you there in early March, and in between selling bacon and ham, you duck into City Hall and register your kid. By the time he does, he's 10 days too late. What do? You just change the birth date of your daughter. My mother has been carrying that date around ever since. How do I know? She didn't tell me. I just wanted a copy of her birth certificate. You try finding a birth certificate for Nancy, born in November, when she's Annie, born in December, but not really. I came home and I said, "Who are you? I don't even know who you are." Well, I didn't think it was worth telling. She's Irish, so there are a lot of things she doesn't think are worth telling. I can't come see you at the beach. Why not? You know damn well why. I don't. You do. I don't. You know I can't go in the sun. I have the lupus. Why do you think I don't go in the sun? Because you're from the Ireland and you have the fair skin. See, that's what we do. We'd sweep it under the rug. You know, that's what you just sweep everything under. You could trip over the lumps in our carpeting. Like my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Cohen, she's scolding the boys who are slacking off. Boys, you better start studying. You want to grow up to be garbage men? Is that what you want to be? You want to be garbage men? Like, oh my God. Why does the example of the loser have to be my mother? Come here to me now. You don't say he drives a garbage truck. You simply say it's a truck. There is no need to air our laundry, which is ironic because we were the only people on the block without a clothes dryer. So we had to air our laundry. Okay, just a little bit, you know, then we go deeper into who they are beyond that with their pain, their strengths, their struggles, their secrets, how they came together, the issues, how it affected me. And then it comes back full circle. So, you know, it's about shame and secrets from my mother's side, like keep everything, don't make a show of yourself, don't make a fuss. And my father going, get out there, you got moxie, go, go, go. So, and then so it really is a juxtaposition of the superficiality today that gets rewarded versus the values with which most of us are raised, and those colliding, and you know, just that basic stuff.
Well, on that, you have some pretty funny or whatever arrows to throw at Kim Kardashian.
Oh, I know. It always seems like we're in such different times right now that you know, what we're going through now makes me long for the Kardashians when they were our biggest reality nightmare. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of it too, Stephanie, like moving forward when comedy puppy love.
They broke it in.
That's all right. I love the dog. You know, the stuff I'm due about that is going to me to feel irrelevant in some ways because we've changed so much. You know, though we are still in now we're in a post-intellectual world where you're mocked if you read, you're mocked if you fact check, you're mocked if you listen to scientists. So that's where it'll go. But, you know, remember the good old days when that's, you know, when you'd see a tabloid headline that said Kim depressed feels like blowing brains out, and you'd go, whoa, how messy could that be? I mean, those are mean things, but you know, I also talked too about, you know, another thing in the show is about how people get disproportionately rewarded for doing the wrong things. You know, they get book and movie deals, and I was an English major, and these are the people getting book and movie deals. People like Kim Kardashian, who has nothing to say. Like, her book is a book of selfies. That's not a book. That's a photo album. Like, there's no, and her mother, do you know why she's famous? Her mother pimped her out. Like, Kim actually went to her mother and said, I can't believe my boyfriend just put me giving moral love, like, on the internet. And her mother goes, this is the best thing ever happened to the family. Sit down. Don't worry, I'm going to market this. This is like, I'm paraphrasing in my words, but that's what she did. I just don't wait till your younger sisters grow up. We'll market them too. But even people who aren't reality stars, you think, how did they get a book deal? There's a woman, I saw her being interviewed on one, I don't know, I think maybe it was Oprah on Soulful Sunday. And look, the woman is in jail because she killed her husband, and I don't begrudge her happiness, but she killed her husband, so she's in jail. And I don't know her name, so we'll call her Killer. Killer, I don't remember her name. Killer killed her husband because he was battering her, so he had it coming. She got a prison sentence as she deserved, but she also got a book and a movie deal. She got a book and a movie deal because she killed her husband. I was an English major. I was a journalist. I know how to conjugate verbs. I know how to diagram sentences. I know the proper use of semicolons, semi-fucking colons, separates independent clauses, noun, verb, object, noun, verb, object. Two sentences so closely linked together, almost sharing one thought, but not quite. They can stand alone. They're fine alone. They're not codependent. They choose to come together because they know together they're even better and they're even stronger. I want you, you want me, hell yeah, let's do this. A semicolon is true love. But I can't get a book and a movie deal because I never killed anyone. But it's my own fault because I'm the idiot who was married to a man who respected me. Now, we discussed that my father's an alcoholic. Do you know how many daughters of alcoholics marry abusers and batterers? About 98%. Not me. I couldn't even get that right. I was married to a good guy, a nice guy for a while. Can I help you? What can I do? Can I cook? Can I clean? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Well, get off of me. You know what you can do? I'll tell you what you can do. You can hit me so I can shoot you. That's what you can do. I can see the headlines. I can see the headlines. Maureen kills her husband. She gets a book and movie deal. It's not conjugating verbs, baby. You got to do something. So that's the whole thing. But where are we going post-virus, But you can make jokes. Like, there's nothing funny. Like, the line with comics is, if you die, not funny. If you live, it's funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll give an there's everything is horrific out there. It's so painful what's going on right there. My father's in the hospital right now. He had a heart attack. I mean, things are bad out there. But you can find material like this isn't worked out. But I remember when it first started, before things got really bad, they closed sports arenas, which didn't affect women's sports at all because nobody ever went anyway, which makes me angry. But when they closed the golf courses, I thought, had they done that sooner, my marriage might have lasted. There's humor in that. That's what I'm talking about. And now that they're reopening it, I'm hoping that I'm still the beneficiary because you don't know if he's going to catch something. You see, like, there's, stuff like that you can tweak out, or, there's a lot of stuff. That's why I'm sad I'm not going to Edinburgh in August, because I was going to do my Don't Make Me Hate You show. Seriously. And they're so open. You can talk about politics and, points of view and things that here are a little, I made a joke about Melania Trump or Trump. I said something like, he does read. I don't like people saying he doesn't read. I said, in fact, he likes the classics. He loves Lord of the Lies, Nasty Little Women, and Catcher in the Pussy. Woman gets up, middle-aged woman, fuck yeah. You're like, oh, really? Then she gets up and walks out, and then she comes back, show her friends, and she's like, you're staying? I want you all to leave. I think he's my president. This is so offensive. I'm like, oh my, don't let the door hit you on the pussy on the way out. But it's like, that's the kind of thing you can't even, we'll find humor.
I know Will Durst says, never perform in Berkeley. Or he should say, nothing is harder than performing in Berkeley.
Right. Yes. Be prepared when you perform in Berkeley. How's Will doing? Do you get an update?
I haven't heard in a while. For those of you who don't know, Will Durst had a stroke, and he's recovering. The last I heard, he was in a rehab facility. I don't know if he's gotten out of it yet.
Yeah,
So
Deb reached out, his wife.
thoughts for Mr. Will Durst, who's just incredible.
Brilliant man. We love you, Will Durst. Get well soon. Soon. Yeah. But I think after this is over, I see comedy, instead of going down to the base where all these guys do their dick jokes, you know, and all this stuff, I see it. You don't see that at the Marsh because you're around people who read, but I see it out there. I thought I was entering a world of self-actualized people. And there are those who are trying to, you know, reach their full creative potential. But then there are others who are just, you know, on their way to or from rehab and they're a mess and they just want, you know, nothing wrong with rehab. I'm glad my father went. But you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yes.
guys are on, they're always stoned, man. You're like, oh, get away. I think it's going to be elevated after this. I think we're going to be so tired of a post-intelligent world that people are going to crave connection, humor, and peace. Sit down.
I have having some like husband issues. He's letting the dogs loose. He's playing Joni Mitchell in the background. What's a woman to do?
Slam the door. I do. I think we're going to have smarter comedy moving ahead. I don't know how people are gonna do it in a room where you're spaced out 6 or 10 feet. I don't see that happening.
No.
Comedy, stand up.
Stand up. We'll be the audience will be the stand up.
Yeah, you guys stand heavy. I'm sitting on the stage. So
God, we're having a hard time. This is whatever, the environment behind me. Anyway, so you know, you've been doing, how long have you been doing Daughter of a Garbage? First of all, how long did it take you to write it? And then how long have you been doing it for now?
Well, you know, I told you I did a bunch of monologues that wound up being in that years ago, probably, 15 years ago at least. And then I started, I think it was 2012 or 13, working on it at the Marsh and taking it to Edinburgh. Roughly then. I could be a year off. It could have been a year later or two. But then I was performing it a lot then until the last gigs I did was the first week in March. So 4, 5, 6 years. But you know, you go in spurts with it because you're also doing I'm also doing other things, performing and writing and hosting corporate stuff. And for me, you know, just for me, everybody's different. It gets very emotional to do. So sometimes I need to stand back and get a breather and then move forward again. But it's, you know, that's good. You know, emotionally, sometimes I needed a break from it. And then you go back, you're like, okay.
So you said you're working on something you were bringing to Edinburgh. What did you call it again?
Well, that was lighter. Don't Make Me Hate You, which is my product line too at my store at MaureenLangan.com. All this stuff. But it's really about, it was evolving. It's not like the depth of Daughter of a Garbage Man. You know, that's a true solo show. Don't Make Me Hate You is going into everything that's going on in the world and in our country and being able to be political about it or insightful about it and then flipping it into, you know, don't make me hate you. I don't want to feel this way. So then you can go anywhere. Well, I don't want to hate this, you know, you can go almost anywhere with it, with what things you want to talk about politically or societally. Is that a word, societally? I don't know. I just made that up.
Good enough. So do you think you will ever do another solo performance? Do you have an idea for something that maybe not exactly the same as Daughter of a Garbage Man, but you know, the kind of emotional breadth and landscape of a solo show like that?
Yeah, perhaps it has to. Yeah, I am thinking, thoughts come to me and I'm jotting ideas down, but it has to be moving forward. Daughter of a Garbage Man was going back and reliving so many things. You understand what I mean? So I'm ready to, I do have this idea that really interests me called, what's her name? you know how somebody go, hey, what's her name? You know, get over there, go talk to what's her name? Or, hey, that lady in Michigan, what's her name? You know, people go, what's her name in a very dismissive way. There's also this thing, you can also say it another way, what's her name? Because when I was doing, getting a headstone for a great uncle, doesn't have one, the first to come from Ireland on that side of the Langan side of the family, he was easy to research because the Langan lineage, and I have all that information. His wife was Rose. What's Rose's last name? You try finding a woman's last name. It's daunting task in genealogy. Somebody like Amelia Earhart wrote to the New York Times, please use my name, Amelia Earhart, because she was married to a man named George Putnam, and they were calling her Mrs. Putnam in the paper. And she said, I know I don't stand on any principle here, meaning I have no right to ask this, but can I, would you, you know, please, respectfully, I ask, would you use Earhart, like an artist or a writer would have their, you know, their pen name. And I thought somebody at her level had to ask if her name. So there's so many women, we don't know their names. We don't know who they are. What is behind just that first name? Just for me to find her last name, Rose's last name, try to find on passenger ships. They're listed as like the property of the fathers or of the husband. So there's so much behind who are these women, and I want to explore that. What's her name? Because we do dismiss it like, what's her name? Wow, go talk to what's her name. But what's her name? So there's something in there that is germinating right now.
And when you think of that, what is it about it that feels like it's moving forward?
Well, it's just, I've been doing, it's very interesting because when I was talking about, because I just was working on the headstone for my great uncle and trying to find Rose's last name, which took me months and months. His wife's last name, McGuire, by the way. The next day, the article about Amelia Earhart appeared, about her wanting her last name. And I thought, and you know, I'm also one of these, you know, crazy feminist women who like her own identity. So there's a lot. And I was, you know, I've been doing a lot of, I'd interviewed the great-great-granddaughter of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Her name's Colleen Jenkins. And they're putting the very first statue in Central Park of real women to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the right to vote in America. And it's going to be Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, and Sojourner Truth. The very first statue of real women, of all the male statues throughout all of Central Park, men born in other countries, none, the only women are nymphs, Juliet, Alice in Wonderland, and Mother Goose. Those are the ones. I'm joking. So there's something to all this. You see the thread, there's something.
Yeah, definitely. You should. I can't wait for you to go for it.
Yes, I will. I'm getting hanging with Langan, you know, right now off the ground Monday through Friday, which, you know, you think, oh, I'll take a break, but I can't. I'm too type A. And now I'm like so tired going, okay, what am I doing?
Tell me about it. Here's MarshStream 7 days a week.
But I'm proud of you for doing it, Stephanie. I'm really, and your hair looks really good, by the way. I was impressed that you're doing it. And
thank you.
When you asked me to do it, I felt, you know, so honored that I thought, well, I'm not really full steam ahead with Daughter of a Garbage Man. I want to move on to other projects. So I thought you'd be like, oh, you know, okay, no problem. You can back out, Maureen, if you want to. All right, fine, Stephanie.
No, but what did I say? I said, do whatever you want.
I know. Thank you. Thank you.
We have some questions right now in the chat. And if anyone wants to put some questions in the chat. So Tom asks, who are your favorite working comics?
Oh, Wanda Sykes is my favorite. Wanda Sykes. I just love her attitude. I love her energy. I'm pretty into emotionally driven comics. I mean, I love a lot of comics you won't know that I know through the scene that make me laugh. I like very dry, quick-witted people too. But Wanda Sykes is great. And she actually, people say rape isn't funny. She made a rape joke. And it's not vulgar. She talks about the vulnerability of women going out at night. You know, you want to go out, I'm paraphrasing, you want to go out for a jog, you know, and it's dark. So you feel vulnerable, right? As women, you know this. So She's like, I wish they made, her voice, I wish they made vaginas detachable. Then I could be out running at night. The man in the bushes jumps out and I said, oh, I left my vagina at home. I could, that's like not wanting to be raped, right? That's what she's talking about. I could go to a sports player. I could go to a football player's hotel room 2 a.m. Oh, I detached it and left it home. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing, but I think it's brilliant. So,
I guess, I mean, we talked a little bit about how did you get into performing solo. We talked about that, but who was your inspiration coming up? And I'm assuming in the solo and the comic world as well.
oh no, solo, totally. I would go watch Spalding Gray in New York all the time. Eric Bogosian, Anna Devere Smith. Oh no, I was. I would where I wrote my monologues. I'd watch other people what they were doing. Yeah, Spalding Gray. I love Spalding Gray. With I would prefer without the desk and the suicide, but I loved him. Yeah.
Well, that's why I started the Marsh after seeing Spalding Gray when I visited San Francisco. That's what got said. Huh, this is it. I want to be a solo performer.
Honest, really, that's who motivated you.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it. And Eric Bogosian was, I don't know, very cool stuff.
Yeah. So is there anyone, do you have any questions for anybody out there in the audience? Anybody have a question? You could wave your hand and our wonderful Brian or Brianna might highlight you and while we're waiting, Maureen.
Yes.
Do you have a question for us?
Well, I want to know, well, you have a great audience, Stephanie. I mean, the people who come to the Marsh. So what I really love about it is, well, I love Monday Night Marsh because you can, so many places you have to be your best. The Marsh, you're not as good as your last show. You can grow and you can make those mistakes on stage and find your voice. Very few places like that. So I'm wondering how you guys are doing during these times, what you're going to do moving forward.
Well, we have a Monday night version if you want to test out some stuff about your
I would love
Monday nights. Alexa runs it, your favorite tech person.
Alexa is the most reliable, professional, young little she's so quiet. She doesn't miss a trick. I love her.
She's amazing. She's been working for us since 2 days after she turned 18. It's been amazing.
Tell her I love her. Oh, she knows that. I tell her all the time. Okay, you know what? Maybe that's a place for me to get what's her name going.
That's right. That's what I mean. What's her name? You should get that going, whatever her name is. So you can try out on Monday. You could do it next Monday if you wanted to, but just contact me or Alexa. But yeah, we're doing okay. I love this MarshStream. I really love how, like last night, Diane Barnes, who did Solo Arts Heal, did a piece from My Stroke of Luck about her having a stroke, a radiologist. Yeah. And she did such a great job on Zoom, right? It's this transition into this Zoom box, right? So it's been very interesting to see people take on this new kind of genre, a new venue, and do beautiful things. It's different. It's different from the live stage, but it's got its own character and its own characteristics. So for me, watching some of these shows become live, seeing more and more of them come live, it's been quite wonderful. So, the Marsh, we can't wait to get back into our theaters, but we also, I don't want to give up this MarshStream. This kind of by choice, this public broadcasting, putting it out there for anyone to see. I mean, just on Monday night, many, like the second Monday night we ever did, all of a sudden, this guy plays the Scottish, what do you call it? The fiddle, Scottish fiddle, right? And does a story. And he sounded like he was from Scotland. And I said, so when did you move here? And he said, I'm in Scotland. He did it from Scotland, the Monday Night Marsh.
Oh my
goodness. How did you find out about us? He said, well, I was in San Diego last year, and my friend said the best place to develop work is at the Marsh in in the Bay Area. And I was like, we got that on tape. We got that live. It's on tape.
You and I probably know some people who would love to do it too, from Ireland or Scotland, the UK, something like that.
Yeah. So we have this, this thing on the weekends when you get ready for whatever show, where we're doing short pieces like John Fisher, who won 2 Will Glickman Awards. He's going to do his Hawaii experience this weekend. So we have a lot of space, just like at the Marsh, we do 600 shows. Now we have a lot of space of a different kind, so it's
There's
exciting.
an intimacy here when you see people, the people see you face to face. It's much more intimate than I thought it would be.
That's what Dan Hoyle said. Dan Hoyle was like, this is kind of intimate. He had no idea. It's a very unusual situation, like I'm talking to you. I wouldn't be talking to you now probably, but I get to talk to you.
And I get to see how good you look on camera. I get to see your haircut. And I get to be on the other side of the
You
interview.
feel like a little flippy here. You see the little flip?
I do. You look very well. I'm very impressed.
Thank you very much. So, so things are going good. And you know what? Any last minute questions? Is there anyone?
Nobody's interested.
Let's see. Is there anything else?
They love the MarshStream. How did you get into solo performing? What was your inspiration coming up?
What does this person mean? He says, I love the MarshStream. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. It makes life seem almost, but then I look over my shoulder and what, Chris? And what? There you are, Chris. I see your face. What happens then, Chris? Unmute, Chris.
Almost normal. Almost normal.
Almost normal.
Almost normal. Almost.
Right. So it's 8:30, Maureen.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to do this, and I hope somebody got something out of it. Look, I think too, just what I want to say too is, I got up and did stand up for the first time when I was 21 years old, and I was a journalist as well. I was petrified, and I didn't go back for 15 years almost to try it again. So if anybody's thinking of performing, whether it be comedy or a solo show, you can start with just a thought and grow it. And if you don't think it feels like you're going to throw up when you first start, you do. Everybody does. Every single human being on the planet feels like they're going to be ill and they can't handle their nerves. And then don't be like me and not do it for 15 more years. And, don't worry. You don't have to be as good as somebody else. You have your own voice. And I just think it's important for people to know that. And even now, when I have a gig and I hosted that 4-day corporate event, you get nervous inside. You do. And that's normal. The puking part, though, was really bad at the beginning.
So the first time you did it, that fit when you were 20, you waited 15 years. Was it a really bad experience? Is that why you waited? Did you do really badly? Did nobody laugh? What happened?
Well, now that I know as much as I know, I realize what the situation was. You're in a bar. I did a class at the New School for social research in Manhattan. And then they took us up at the end of the class to this kind of bar with a small stage area, not the right setting. I was so nervous. My hands were sweating. I don't know if I got a laugh or not. It was sparsely, there weren't many people. They're at the bar, they're standing. So I don't know how to handle a situation like that. So I just didn't get back for a long, long time. And I would just go watch it, and I'd watch Wanda Sykes write for Chris Rock, and he'd get up on the stage working out his stuff. When you feel, it's not jealousy, it's more like, oh, wish I could do it. So I took some classes and got up and did it.
So you did it again, but what made you do it again?
Because it kept poking me. When something, like when something, like say when you go out walking or hiking or whatever you do to think, I see things in words, and I see how it can be brought to life. Some people think in pictures or color or painting or I don't know what, but yeah, it was bugging me. So I just wanted to get back, try it again. And again, I felt like I was going to be ill. That's it. And you just got to keep feeling like you're going to be ill and bring Pepto-Bismol and just hope for the best. That's it. Jump into the deep end of the pool. And that's what sucks is you got to suck until you get better. You just have to. And you might have 1 or 2 moments that are really good or 10 and then go, oh, I'm living large. And then the next day tank. You have to. You just have to. It's like trying to learn my talk show, doing a Facebook Live, right? I'm doing a Facebook, but I have to go live to figure out if the stupid smelly stuff is connecting and if I can bring in the photo and if I can hit so it's like an open mic. I'm like, you guys, it's an open mic. A journalist for many years, award-winning journalist, I'm doing like an open mic. So I'm just saying, you got to humble yourself to suck so that you don't suck. But don't call it sucking because you're doing your best. That's bad. That was like very New York of me. Yeah, you gotta suck. No, I just mean you have to humble yourself to just be like not as good as you hope to be one day. And then that will lead you to be a stronger writer, performer, comic, whatever you're into.
And Maureen, we are so glad you have kept it up and you keep
Yeah.
evolving and doing more wonderful things. And we can't wait to see your next thing. So
Thank you for your support. You guys are amazing and you're a community and I'm very lucky to be a part of it. Thank you.
We're so glad you're part of it. And let me say, you want to know who's on next week? Who I am interviewing? Do you have any idea? Guess who I'm interviewing?
Ellen DeGeneres.
Yes. You know what? If Ellen DeGeneres came on, I would have to bump the person who you would not want me to bump.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, really? Maybe I would throw the name out.
David Ford.
No, maybe. No, I mean, I don't
David
think
Ford, Ellen DeGeneres, David Ford.
No, I would go with David Ford over that, but if it were Carol Burnett, sorry, David, good luck to you. Hey, and can I ask people to follow me on Facebook? Just follow me, Maureen Langan, Maureen Langan. I do the talk show Monday through Friday. I have a group page, Hanging with Langan. But however you get there, just go to Maureen Langan on Facebook and we'll connect, or go to my website. I'd appreciate it because it's been great connecting with people and having them watch the show. And it's, people seem to be digging it.
So you want to say one more thing? What time? What time?
Yeah, it's Monday through Friday at noon Pacific time, and I have all kinds of people on. I had Lori Kilmartin, Jessica Kirsten. I have just historians and comics, but we're not doing stand-up. We're going behind the scenes and finding out hell gigs or advice for comics or dishing the dirt, just having a good time with it and getting to know each other, just kind of like this, really.
Thank you, Maureen.
Mwah.
Mwah.
If anybody can get lighting, go ahead.
You look great, Maureen.
Oh, thank you. Thanks a million. Bye.
It gives you kind of that glowy look. Don't you worry. Hey, Brian, what's up? Uh-oh, he can't unmute himself again.
I got it. I'm back in charge. I wasn't in charge there for a second. Brianna took over ownership and she wouldn't unmute me. But I'm back now. But what a fantastic interview with Maureen. She's absolutely hilarious. And I'm going to piggyback off what she said. I spent the morning on her Facebook page and on actually her YouTube page and was watching old videos. She's absolutely hilarious. So if you need some inspiration, definitely check out those things. But that ends it for us for Stephanie's MarshStream tonight. Another great episode. Just remember, pass by our website, themarsh.org, pass by that tip jar. Remember, we are a nonprofit organization, so every little bit helps. Stephanie would say it herself, no donation too small, and of course, no donation too big. Support us by becoming a member of the Marsh. Our membership package includes discounts off tickets and different things that we're going to start doing on the MarshStream, pre-show events with performers, after-show parties, happy hours, all of these different things that are going to start becoming available on the MarshStream. So become a member, support us, and then you'll get to do all those fun things with us. But that'll do it for us tonight, Stephanie, I think.
Thank you all so much. Thank you for being with us. Stay healthy, stay in good spirits, and enjoy what you can from the quarantine. Even MarshStream. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much. See you next week. See you tomorrow. See you Saturday night. I'll be talking a Q&A with John Fisher.